Our
Okay.
it is gone to the live. Friends will see it. ওরা তো ক্লিক করবে অন্য জায়গাতে, অন্য সিটে আগে দিয়েছি না, they will, ওরা তো ওটা কি দিয়েছো? আমার ফেসবুকে এটা দিয়ে দাও, না হলে ওরা বুঝতে পারবে না। ওকে, প্রফেসর কপিল, গুড ইভিনিং।
Good evening, Dada.
জয় হিন্দ।
Jai Hind.
জয় হিন্দ। Our subject will concentrate on how in last 80 years, even after the physical retreat of the British from India, how our Distorians, I do not call them historians, they are master of distortion. That's why I call them, they are the distortion specialist historians.
Distorians, you call them.
Distorians, yes. They have distorted, deleted, destroyed our history. And the purpose is, suppose if you reduce or destroy the respect of an individual or a family or a nation about its own history and heritage, it will be very easy to conquer them. Then if the moral is destroyed, very easy to conquer an individual, a family, or a nation. This is the main part. They have deleted, distorted, and destroyed our history. And chapter-wise, they have done it. We'll today start from our ancient history. How ancient history has been deleted, destroyed, and our people has been made to understand that they have no history, they have no right heritage. The moral is destroyed. And it was in my past belief that the 1,000 years of Muslim empire, Muslim rulers and their agents has destroyed the glory of our past heritage. But you have told that maximum distortion has been done by the communists, and that is after the partition of India. I accept that. But also during Muslim empire, their agents, their courtiers has destroyed our history heritage, which was the Hindu age or Vedic age, more glorious than even the era of Ashoka. More brilliant, more bright, but they have made Akbar the Great, Aurangzeb the Great, but never the Gupta emperors as great. Only they have made Ashoka the Great, again with a very bad motive. No one else. They have given us the list of our defeats in the hands of the foreign invaders, but they have given the list how many times we have defeated the foreign invader. Now you start your. We'll now
You see,
concentrate
Dada,
on ancient history, that narratives.
uh, of distortion, particularly in public image, that started much more with the British. And the reason for that was very clear, that the British understood one thing in Bharat, that is India, that here the country which they were trying to colonize and rule was not a country like Africa. You know, I'm not undermining the African tribal culture and all, but here there was a civilization continuing, which had sciences, which had medicine, which had philosophy, which had religion, environment, word peace, and whatnot. And they realized also one more thing, that it were the Brahmins. You see, Brahman is who? Brahman, I'm not taking the Brahman by caste,
Yes.
but the Brahman who really held that knowledge and transmitted that knowledge on man. And that is why the British realized that unless they do away with this uh, culture, civilization, unless they undermine this, unless they declare it as mythology, they will not be able to conquer the Indian society. And there was a reason for that. You see, they are very cunning and very sharp. They saw it that wherever Islam went, Islam was able not only to conquer those countries, but to completely destroy the cultures over there. Whether it was Iran, the Persian culture. Then they destroyed right from Afghanistan to Hindustan borders, the Buddhist and the Hindu settlements which were there, from Hindu Kush to this place and all together. But they saw that in India, the Islam, in spite of its most barbarous acts like demolishing the temples, converting people by sword, converting people forcibly, etc., was unable to kill the Indian civilization, was unable to stop the continuity of Indian tradition. And most living example is Varanasi, which has a ongoing history of more than 5,000 years, and many other places. So how do they do it? They realize that the Islamic ones by destruction couldn't do it. By burning libraries, they couldn't do it. So what do we do? So the best thing was as many falsehoods as you can about the Indian heritage, and not only in one but in all fields. Their first attack came on the Indian Gurukul system, the Indian system of ancient education. When the Gurukuls were attacked, there's a very interesting study by Professor Aparna Basu from Delhi University on the Indian education system, and where she has mentioned about Indian Gurukuls, in which, and she has dealt mainly with Gujarat, in which all castes were there in the Gurukul, taking education simultaneously. Now,
And Professor Kumar, that was not caste, that is Borno. Casteism
then
was
Varna,
imposed
Varna,
by the Muslim,
Varna,
then by the British.
Varna.
Borno.
And then what happened? That these Britishers very systematically, I'll give you a very interesting example. If you read Erasmus, what he has said about Christianity, it's that thick volumes, that the caterpillars were eating the crops of the farmers. So the church issued a decree, Pope issued a decree, that all the caterpillars should leave the fields of the farmers, but with a condition. Is applicable only to those lands where the farmers have paid the to the church, the text to the church. Now tell me, by any regards, is this scientific? Second example I'll give you. Sale of indulgences. That when a person would be dying, their priest will sit by his bedside and ask the person to confess the sins that person has done. And this priest will keep noting them. And after he has confessed, the priest will decide how much penalty should be imposed on him. So suppose the penalty is 1,000 pounds and this person is able to give only 200 pounds. Then a letter will be written in the name of Jesus Christ that this person committed so many sins in life, he confessed them. According to the church, this much is the penalty, 1,000 pounds on him, but he has been able to pay only 200 pounds. So when he goes up, the punishments which he should get from his sin, only 200 pounds which he has paid to the church, those punishments should be reduced. And that letter will be buried around with his coffin. Is this scientific? This is no mythology. If Jesus Christ moves, the ocean parts away and he can move through the ocean, that is scientific. But if Hanumanji flies over to Sri Lanka, that is imagination.
One thing.
That is mythology.
In cunningness of distorting our history, British masters is more cunning than the Muslim masters. Muslim.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
I will point to the only one speech by that in the British Parliament by Macaulay, that famous Parliament speech, Macaulay speech, when he was given the task of introducing a new education system in India. He declared in the Parliament speech that my purpose will be to I have gone through length and breadth of the country, that is India. I have seen nowhere the beggar. All are educated, and their education medium is Sanskrit. If I can make them forget this language, and if I can make them disrespectful to their own history heritage, their moral will be broken. Then we'll be able to conquer them. That's the pattern.
Not only this, you see, with this also they wrote in the 1830s to the church that within 50 years we will convert the whole of India into Christianity. These are the letters. Now, my question comes here that on a real basis, the first person to challenge them among the Bhadralok in Bengal
Who?
was Bankim.
Bankim. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay.
Yes. If you look at Bankim's writing, it's a very famous thing. I had put it there in the National Library, Calcutta Museum also, where he says,
yes,
our history is written by Europeans. Who will write our history? I and you will write our history. Much before Karl Marx and much before these subaltern groups and French historians and all, it is Bankim who talked of the people's history.
yes.
People forget this role of Bankim. And what he did it in a beautiful way. He was a he put them as historical novels.
Also, he had access to the documents. He had archival
So
documents.
where when he wrote Anand Mat or
Yes.
he wrote on Devi Chaudrani, all these things. And because there's another link to that, I'll appreciate his. But a novel is read by all. So he was giving the nationalist thoughts through these historical novels.
And this novel is based on historical facts of the monks' revolution in eastern India, Sannyas Vidroh. On the background of that,
Yeah. Yes. So it was a very unique thing which Bankim did, which I believe today's Bengal has forgotten. Because at that time there was a race in Bengal who will be loyal to the British, who will learn this Macaulay's English and serve the British. And Bankim, while serving the British, promoted nationalism, promoted our culture. You see, putting Vande Matram in the novel. So that is one aspect. Now, the British, and please mark one thing here, that none of these Britishers who are writing history of India were historians. They were the British bureaucrats, the British army generals, the British soldiers, who everyone became a historian on India and started writing it. Then comes this great man of the world, Karl Marx. If you look at his writings, see, he never visited India.
never.
He had no contact with India.
But he went through the
All
documents in England.
no, Baba, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, all the information which he had about India and the documents he had about India were from the British sources.
Yes.
You see, it is not that he picked up a Veda and read the Veda or read the Kautilya Shastra or something and then commented on it. What the Britishers were writing about, he wrote, and that is why I think this is his writing of 1853, if I'm not wrong, where he says that India has no history. Its history is only of invaders and wars. And then he says the question is who will rule over India? Whether the Turk will rule, the Russian will rule, or the British will rule.
But Professor Kumar, I have
And
seen some writings of Karl Marx published from Bangalore, where in some areas Karl Marx has shown deep respect to India's history and heritage.
India's
His Karl Marx has shown deep respect to history and heritage of India, where he has again
deep,
told deep respect,
deep,
respect for history of heritage and heritage of
deep
India,
respect,
Karl Marx, and also noted
deep,
that
deep,
history and heritage has been
deep.
destroyed by British.
You see,
Also, he has written.
you see, Dada, you see, Dada, I can never forgive him for writing these such words. That being humans, what kind of people they are, they worship the monkey and the Sama. That's what he's writing. He's totally undermining the Indian religion, the Hindu religion particularly.
Maybe he's a having different personality, maybe split personality, or some
No,
purpose,
no. Secondly,
with some purpose.
Dada, I'll tell you, the communists are they specialize in editing and cutting and all that.
Maybe the Indian communists and
Because this Bangalore thing which you are saying, I I have gone through these writings of Marx through the People's Publishing House, which is the official publication house for the CPI, and then the Russian publications, which used to come from there, and they were sold as very low priced. Marx on religion, Marx on India, and all these kind of things. And I'll tell you another thing. Even if I agree to you that Marx has said something good about Indian thing, these communists will not follow Marx on that
Congress will never
because
quote that. Indian communists
they
will
will
never
not
quote that. Never
they,
quote.
they will not they will not quote it also, and they will go by their own presumptions on that
Yes. Whatever
what they
needed.
do, what is required for them to suit their politics.
Just in a line,
Because you
they
know this
quote
that
Ambedkar in specific lines, not totality.
you see you have seen this that even the CPM government had come out with a government order that in none of the textbooks anything will be written about the destruction of Indian temples by the Muslim invaders and all that.
Yes. Then
That
I
was an official this
I
was
am
an official
adding
order of the CPM government.
then I am adding one dimension, that is you will see the so-called secular leaders in India like Gandhi, Nehru, communists, all Tikumaku Congo, all historians, all leaders, they have got a general tendency of narrating that Ramayana Mahabharata is story, is only legend. There is no historicity.
Dada, Dada, recall this when a French delegation came to India. He visited that this delegation visited many places in India,
Yes,
was very appreciative of Indian culture, and when he went to meet this Nehru,
yes,
they praised ancient Indian culture and the continuity which had.
yes,
And you know what was Nehru's reply to them?
yes.
You are praising all that which I want to destroy.
What is the language of Nehru?
You are praising all that which I want to destroy.
I want to destroy. Okay, because he's mullah.
Because because he was a Hindu by accident, as per his own words. Okay.
European by culture and Muslim by DNA.
Yeah.
Muslim by
And
DNA.
and a Hindu by accident. Anyway.
Accident.
So what happened? That these people started building up narratives that all this Mahabharata and Ramayana they are fiction. But there too, they did one thing very shrewdly, Dada. I had confronted once our leading historian, Professor R.S. Sharma, on this. I said, on the one hand, when it comes to writing sources of ancient Indian history under literature, you mention these epics and Purans. Okay. At the same time, you call it fiction. And the worst thing which they do is what suits their ideology, they will pick out from that. For example, in Ramayana, there's that chapai on that Pashu Nari Tadan Ke Adhikari. You know, they pick that one to show that how women were treated. But they will not pick up the other chapais related to women which are there.
Yes.
That how Rama respected his mother, that he went to the forest, or how he sat with Shabri and did that. That they will not require. So
I
pick
will
and
give
choose.
another angle. In the Ramayana Mahabharata narratives, there are mention of some geographical areas which have been subsequently excavated and found to be true. Those geographical areas
Dada,
mentioned in Ramayana
Dada,
Mahabharata,
you
it,
will be surprised. This book is available on the website also. Geography of Purans.
yes,
This is a book by S.M. Ali. He used to be the geography head of Aligarh Muslim University. If you read that book, Geography of Purans, you will be stunned, Dada, that how he has identified geographically the regions not of within India of Purans, but worldwide. That information is there in the Purans. So R.S. Sharma, no, let me clear this R.S. Sharma thing and all. So I said this can't go on. Either you say that they are historical sources and look at them in totality, what they have to say. But you can't do this hypocrisy that on one hand you say they are not historical sources. On the other hand, if something suits you, you pick up out of the context and you quote that. And in ancient history aspect, Dada, two, three assumptions were badly distorted by them, by the Britishers. The left continued with it, and now the Congress and DMK are continuing with it. What is that? Whole gimmick of Aryan invasion theory of India.
Yes.
And then dividing it into Dravid and Arya
Yes.
as if North and South India cultures were two different cultures.
Yes.
And they were describing that Indus Valley is Dravidian.
Yes.
I think 2 days back only this Stalin has announced
Yes. Headlines.
anyone who deciphers the Indus Valley script will be given $1 million by him, making it
Yes.
a political issue. I was asked in a channel, I spoke on that. So now I asked a simple question, which is a commonsensical question. Where is Indus Valley civilization found? Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, okay, what we call the Saraswati civilization. Gujarat, Lothal Coast, Dholavira, Rakhigadi in Haryana, Ropar in Punjab, Kalibangan in Rajasthan. These are the major sites.
Yes.
And there are now hundreds of sites of Indus Valley civilization which have been discovered.
Similar
The
icon.
whole theory has changed.
How
Now there are pre-Harappan settlement and there are post-Harappan settlements.
Yes.
Okay. And they say now it is diffusion of that culture. Now my question, when I asked one question, that in terms of development, world moves forward. Like all agree that Harappan civilization was an urban civilization. And they date it to 3000 BC, 4000 BC. And the Aryan civilization say it is agricultural civilization. And they date it to 1800 and 1500 BC.
1550 something. 1550 BC.
So imagine that a fully developed civilized India went back to agriculture. The funniest question which they put. They forget that Bhoga's koi inscription, investigation, dates back to something like 1200 BC. And now, many settlements have been found which go up to 10,000 BC.
Yes.
So this whole tamasha which they make to undermine the Indian urban development also, you see, is something very, very foolish. If you look at the accounts given by the Greeks, Megasthenes remained here, he wrote Indica The indica is not fully available, but Strabo and others have quoted out of indica. Look at the house of Ashoka, which they say his palace and all. If you pick up Kautilya Shastra, you look at the construction aspect. Durga, fort. How is the fort to be constructed? Where he talks of city, where he talks of village. He talks of city administration. Megasthenes talks of city administration. So this whole dating purpose which they have done is again absent.
One point I am adding. The Aryan nation theory, the word Aryan, Arjo. In Arjo, in our literature, Arjo means a civilized people, educated people. Hey Arjo, educated
That
people.
is not
It
really,
is not
actually that is
any
not,
caste or
they,
any.
these people made it racial.
Yes,
These people made it racial. The Indian word, you see, this is what I always say, Dada, that if you have to understand the Indian history in reality, you have to understand first that what the Indian terms were.
yes.
Don't look at their English translations and meanings which the Britishers have given.
Number two, they are themselves
Oh
confused.
no, Dada, one thing, no, no, one thing, fine. They couldn't find any English for the Varna system.
Yes,
Varna has no English word, but they very conveniently found the word caste for Jati
yes. A huge
because
confusion.
that suited them pretty well.
And the masters of this
No
theory of
English,
civilization are
no
confused
English word for that.
from where the Aryans enter into India. What is there from where they invaded India? They
No,
do
no,
not,
the thing,
they are not,
Dada, the other thing was this that if they would agree that it was the Indians only who had this knowledge and all which they created, so the Western supremacy falls to ground. So
yes.
to establish Western supremacy, which
And
is a part and parcel of their program to colonize, that white man's burden and all which the theories which they developed, so they have to undermine everything which is India.
one, these secular communists and seculars, they usually quote Max Muller. I have read this volume, India, What Can It Teach Us? A big volume by Max Muller. They quote this. In this volume, Max Muller has written and told to his students, you look to, you will see in all civilizations there are storage, tables, and storage. In Christianity, in, in Islam, in Hindu, everywhere there is some storage. You see the age of the story, almost the same quality, same story in different languages, in different geographical areas. He's asking his students to look into where it is oldest. He is telling it is in Bharat, in India, this age of this story is oldest. Then he's asking his own students, then you are telling that civilization went from outside into India or in the reverse way. Civilization went from
Dada,
India to the rest of the world. That is his question in the
look
volume.
at look at two aspects. In the ancient Greek world, two items from India were considered as very, very valuable possessions. One elephant for use in war, and the second was Shraman.
What?
Shraman, the word they have used for Brahman.
What?
Shraman, the learned one.
Sure.
S Shraman.
Oh, sure.
Shraman,
Yes.
the learned one. And they were so much in demand there. Secondly, Al-Burani, if you pick up his India, Al-Burani is India.
Yes.
Al-Burani did a comparative study of some of the sciences like mathematics, like views about the earth and all these items, languages, etc. He made a comparison with what is there in Turkey and what is there in India. But he never passed this kind of a judgment that Indian is a myth or something and all Turkish is superior. He only made a comparative study. Okay, this is what they think, this is what they think. We think. This is what our thinking is. And all. But the Britishers, in all respects, always undermined. Always undermined.
Just I will,
And
yes,
yeah, please.
I will add just two things. Two things. One, I will add one historical fact, which is in the British intelligence files declassified, compiled and now disclosed. 1908, 1908, when Savarkar was in England, every year he was arranging Dasara festival. Dasara festival.
What are arranging
1908
what?
England. This 1908 in England. The files are on the Indian terrorists in England. Files are on Indian terrorists in England. Savarkar. Savarkar,
Okay.
but this British intelligence file, Savarkar, so long he was in England, he's the first Indian to look into the archival files of the Sipai mutiny and publish a volume, write a volume. And he's the first Indian to tell this was the first Indian independence movement. And his volume was translated into different languages. This was made a reading book in the INA by Subhash.
Tamil translation of it in INA.
Other language also. Then one thing, in this Dashera festival, in 1 year, Savarkar invited Mohandas Gandhi from South Africa. And he was made president in one of the sessions. In that session, Mohandas criticized such functions, telling that Ravan is a story, Ramo is a story, the war is a story. There is no historicity. And in response to that, Savarkar stood up. He violently argued that this is our history. And from the very that day, it is rivalry between Gandhi and Savarkar.
And not only that, you look at the hypocrisy of Gandhi, that when it came to use Ram's name for political mobilization,
he has used that.
He brought in Ragpati Raghav Raja Ram.
And distorted the song.
And used it. And distorted the song and used it.
Distorted the song.
Yeah.
This is the
Gandhi was a very shrewd, cunning politician.
To narrate this is the story, not the reality. And what Gandhi told there, this war, physical war against the enemy is not good. Because Ram is a story. And he told that this war is not physical, not outside, but inside.
That I would like to know one thing. You see, like Gita and Ramayana and Mahabharata, etc., being described as mythology and all, I am pretty sure that in Bengal, the British might have tried to do something this with the Kalima also.
Yes.
Do you have any references or instances of that? That how they tried to destroy the Kalima?
Hatred about this goddess Kali.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about Kali, the goddess Kali. One thing I am telling you.
Yes, goddess Kali.
Goddess Kali. you will see the goddess Kali in Egypt, in the land of Nile. You will see
No,
the
no, no.
goddess
Dada,
in Greece,
no, no,
in
Dada,
Europe,
I
in
am
Boykalland.
asking that how did the British attempt in Bengal to humiliate Goddess Kali or to humiliate our followers and all? Are there any evidences? Did they describe Kali?
They were afraid of the fact that all the revolutionaries are the disciples of sons of goddess Kali. They got
No,
inspiration
no,
there and they
no, no.
started goddess
That
Kali.
that 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 no, no, that comes later on, and it is a fact that all the revolutionaries used to take the blessings of Kali. That is a fact. But my feeling is that the initial conversions which took place in Bengal
Initial?
and some of the
Yes.
conversions to Christianity,
Yes.
and some of these leaders whom we praise very much as social reformers and all that, like if you look at the Brahmo Samaj and this.
Yes.
Now, what was the attitude of Brahmo Samaj towards Kali worship?
Not very. They were antipathy to Kali.
That's why I asked this.
All these
That's why
Brahmins.
that's why I've asked it, because this again, and they were pro-British influence. You see,
Yes.
with Western education and all that aspects. You see, that is why I asked this question. That what they tried to do in Bengal, because they tried to do this in every region. It is not just that the Mahabharata myth in India. Every religious feeling, religious thought, every sadhu baba and all, and not only that, Dada, they projected another image of India, that India is a land of snake charmers.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
snake charmers and those who play monkey, bears and all, those kind of things. They projected that image of India.
Today we will go towards the end of this session today. Then we again go
Okay,
for tomorrow. Let me
okay.
2 minutes. I will tell. Then you will tell. Then we will end it today. Then tomorrow again. The great historian Sir Jojunath Sarkar on ancient history, Indian history. Great historian Professor R.C. Mujumdar. In Indian universities today, you will not get their volumes. Today's students are
R.K. Mukherjee. R.K. Mukherjee also, Chandragupta Maurya and his times.
and
And
also you will
and
see
H.C. Rai Chaudhary. H.C. Rai Chaudhary. I have read these volumes in MA. When I was doing my BA history,
yes,
I read all these. R.C. Majumdar, Jadunath Sarkar. I read H.C. Rai Chaudhary. There were other D.C. Sarkar. Many of these historians, I read their works.
you will not get the volumes in library today in university or college. Even the professors of today of history do not know these volumes.
No, they don't.
Another great historian of Central India, UP, Dharampal. Do you know what was the fate of Dharampal? Dharampal is the
I know.
person who went into the archives of the Asiatic Society of India. Asiatic Society of
He is
India.
the one who discovered that. He is the one who discovered that letter by Queen Victoria to the Viceroy, where she's saying that these people fight on beef eating, but they don't know how much cows we kill in India.
This Dharampal has gone into the archival materials of the of Asiatic Society. This Asiatic Society was founded first by William Jones. First set of scholars of the Asiatic Society, their aim was to study the art, science, civilizations of this country and to prepare white papers and to send it
Dada,
to England. Do you know there is
Dada,
white paper? There is white paper in a society that in ancient India there was smallpox vaccination technique. There was technique of production of stainless steel.
Dada,
That
these people,
sent
no, no.
copies.
You see, Indian meteorology and that Ashdhatu thing and all, no one had the word. And you see, the problem is What the problem with me is that after the Britishers went, do you know there are thousands and thousands of manuscripts in Sanskrit, Pali, Tibetan, lying undeciphered and uncatalogued in the Royal Asiatic Society in Calcutta.
Yes. Yes.
Whatever our government's doing,
And the moment the Britishers came to know that this ancient India was more civilized than any part of the Europe, then they got afraid. They stopped all the
Dada,
books.
Dada, when
Whatever
Kautilya Arshas,
they sent it to
when
England, but they were disclosed in India.
Kautilya Arshastra was discovered in 1907,
Yes.
it came as a shock to them. And they see the slavish mentality. They say, Kautilya is the Machiavelli of India. And Machiavelli comes in 1,000 years after Kautilya, more than 1,000 years after Kautilya. But they won't say that Machiavelli is like Kautilya of India.
And you see
Similar
what?
thing comes on, similar things come on Kalidas. Kalidas is the Shakespeare of India.
Yes.
You know? And Shakespeare is almost how many years? 1,000 years, but no, much more than that. After Kalidas.
Much after
But they
Kalidas.
won't.
We quote
Eh,
Shakespeare, but we do not quote Kalidas.
Dada, I have read these many translations also. You see, there's no dearth of literature in Rajasthan also, of the ancient literature. But our historians can't take the pains to go through them. And forget these leftist historians and others, if they can't read even the transfer of power volumes, what do I expect that they will go and read all those things?
And can you remember what was the fate of Dharampal? He was
No,
put
I don't
to
know
jail
what.
by Nehru. He was put to jail by Nehru.
Ah,
Can you remember?
oh yes,
This
I
Dharampal
remember.
compiled all those papers of research society where he shown the brilliance of Indian science and technology, education system, metallurgy, applied
I think
psychology, all the aspects. And he was put
this
to jail by
historian,
Nehru.
I'm forgetting the name. It is Bandyopadhyay. No, uh, Chattopadhyay or Bandyopadhyay, who has done a lot of this ancient Indian sciences and history. He ran a full project of that and published quite a few volumes of that recently in the last
Also
30 years.
remember what was the fate of Rakhal Das Bandyopadhyay in the hands of British. He was the discoverer of Harappa Mohenjo-daro. And
You
on
see,
his
this is the
negligence, so many Britishers got PhD and got promotions. But some police cases was against him made. He was compelled to resign. And he died in an early age of 50 years. He was not given the salary, not given the pension. He was humiliated.
no, that's why the
And
way
British
R.C.
got
Majumdar was humiliated. You
humiliated.
remember how in the history Congress was taken over by these leftists? R.C. Majumdar was to come. I think that history session was in Patna, if I'm not wrong. And these people, one of the historians, knew someone in the railways. So what they did at one particular station, they got the signal done up. And in that train,
Signal down.
no, signal up.
Ah,
So that train from which R.C. Majumdar was coming, that train got delayed by 3-4 hours.
good.
And these people could do the coup in Indian History Congress.
Yes.
I'm the only historian who stood independent as independent candidate in Indian History Congress in 1993, Mysore. Election defeating Shri.
See,
and I defeated Shirin Muswi,
Oh,
Irfan Habib's favorite, in that. And Times of India and Hindustan Times wrote editorials on this creation of history in History Congress, where this first time this Marxist panel was defeated by an independent candidate.
we have come towards the end. Let me end with a quotation of Churchill, a parliament speech by Churchill. One sentence. I will end this.
I hate him.
Yes, but the quotation. Let me quote, because the transfer of power, the so-called independence bill, Indian bill, was piloted by not by Churchill but by Attlee. In Parliament, when it was being discussed in England Parliament, it was being presented by Attlee and being criticized by the LOP. That is that time Churchill. Churchill stood up and told Attlee, to whom you are transferring power in India, to those scoundrels, lumpens, freebooters. A day will come in India, even the water and air will be taxed. And I
And
think
let me,
that if he had that wisdom, actually, who are the persons to whom they transferred power?
that is one. But I'll say it also another thing, that the same Churchill created Pakistan.
Yes,
Okay. And now what is happening in England? He must be very happy in his grave that the Pakistani rapist gangs are moving around in England,
but
and Starmer is that this present Prime Minister of England.
but for the creation of Pakistan, is Churchill alone responsible? Is not Gandhi responsible? Who
No,
created
no, Gandhi, Nehru are there. But Dada, I tell you, Mountbatten
Gandhi?
Mountbatten went to meet Churchill before coming to India. And Mountbatten has written in his thing that when I met Churchill and when I was leaving, Churchill said, "Don't forget my Mohammedan friends."
Yes.
And I told him, I will not.
And let me add one sentence. One sentence. It is Gandhi in 1920 started Khilafat movement in India. It is
No,
Gandhi.
that we know. That we know.
Yes.
Gandhi has done a number of these things. But this whole creation of politics, that's why I always say that Gandhi was a practicing politician. If you have to judge him, if you have to analyze him, then you have to look what he actually did in politics.
And
Not by his speeches and sayings, but by his actions.
and when Mountbatten was appointed the last Governor General, the Viceroy of India, he went to buy Italy. He went to meet Churchill, LOP.
That's
What
what I'm
Churchill
saying.
advised Mountbatten? Okay, you are going to England, but remember, look, you can do whatever you like, but be careful. Never touch the hair of a Muslim. Never
Near
touch,
trust.
never touch the hair of a Muslim. Hair, H-A-I-R.
Churchill said this. No, I won't believe this, Dada. No, no, Churchill is all the time asking them to protect the Muslims to
The hair,
Mountbatten.
means
I've read his,
don't,
I've read Mountbatten's whole meeting by Churchill. I don't know if that book is distorted by some leftist,
no, no,
because
no.
I have read the original Mountbatten's meeting with Churchill, which Mountbatten himself has written.
No, Professor Kumar, see my word. Don't dare to touch hair of a Muslim.
Okay, okay. I thought you said that
Don't dare
don't
to
believe the
touch the hair of a Muslim. Look,
right.
but touch a
That's correct.
Muslim. Be careful.
That's correct. That's
That's the
correct.
language.
That's correct. That's correct.
That's the language.
That's what
Let
I'm
me add
saying.
one more.
That Churchill must be enjoying in his grave now what is happening in England. You see,
Not,
one
not
country,
not only
one
Churchill enjoying, not only Churchill enjoying, your Gandhi is also enjoying. He
does
wanted to
enjoy.
support. Now your
Oh,
Nobel Peace
Gandhi,
winner is trying to
Gandhi,
create Khilafat
Gandhi,
in Bangladesh.
Dada Gandhi would be enjoying for another reason also.
Why?
I tell you what reason is that.
What?
He must be telling the world, look, I always believed in non-violence, and see how non-violently Pakistan has conquered England.
Okay, let us stop today. Tomorrow, what will be our
That's a
subject?
good tweet. That's a good
Tomorrow,
tweet I'm going to do today.
then tomorrow, what will be our subject?
You tell me, Dada, we'll continue with this subject only. We'll go. There are many instances which the people should know. So
And
one by one,
we will
ancient.
we will see our ancient history and heritage. How many
Yeah.
developed sciences are there?
We
Science.
we'll go into that Indian sciences, Indian ancient things, and how they were distorted, what they were. We'll start on that. Okay,
And how?
we'll do by
Yes,
that.
that will be tomorrow. Same time.
Okay, Dada.
Thank you. Good night.
Same time.
Join me.
Same time. Good night, Dada. Good night. Okay, sir.
Okay. Like বন্ধ করেছো?
Good
হ্যাঁ,
night.
লাইট ইজ অফ। ওকে, জয় হিন্দ।
Jai Hind.
রিমুভ গেস্ট। এবার হ্যাঁ, রিমুভ গেস্ট। লাইট বন্ধ করো।